Hi, my name is Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Dean,
Sam,
and Matt. And we've just finished playing Wingspan, which is a game, as you might imagine, about birds. So now the bird cards are quite important here, so let me just explain briefly about the different kinds of birds. So you have a nice little picture of the bird on here and the name obviously, but then there's a particular kind of habitat that each bird wants to live on. On your player board there's three kinds of habitats indicated by the rows. You've got the forest at the top, the kind of plains along here, and the watery area down at the bottom. So that's important. Then the kind of the food they eat. You have a whole pile of different sorts of resources to represent the different sorts of food. There's a certain amount of victory points. The feather is the victory point symbol that you get for playing the bird. There's a particular kind of nest that they make. I think there's a bowl, a cavity is it. There's the number of eggs that they can potentially store on them. And then a special ability that will come into play either when you play the bird or when you activate the row. So when it's your turn, you have a bunch of these cubes and you pick one of these rows to kind of activate. You can just play a bird card. You can have a hand of bird cards and you can play one of these cards. It has to go in the right area, so this would have to go in the forest area, so it has to go on the top. It also has a food requirement, so I'd have to pay a grain and some cherries from my supply into the bank in order to be able to play this card. But also if there's any eggs at the top, you have to pay eggs. Now the eggs can come from anywhere, but you kind of spend the eggs and that lets you play the bird. But when you play something, it then affects the abilities for other actions. So for example, when I gain food, I take the gain food action, which in this case lets me get 3 dice from the bird feeder. So you roll the dice and you get to pick 3 different kinds of resources. But then it kind of triggers everything to the left of whatever that was. So in this case, all the brown things, when activated, this says I gain another grain from the supply and cash it on the card. That will be worth a point at the end of the game. This one says I can take another card from my hand under this card. I gain a cherry, and tucked cards are worth points at the end of the game. So you kind of trigger other cards, and you keep going, triggering all the cards that will trigger until you get to the start here. You can lay eggs, so again you get a certain number of eggs. Possibly you can pay resources to get extra eggs, but again it's potentially going to trigger any kind of brown abilities. So this one lets me get more eggs. And the bottom action is where you draw the bird cards. So in this case I'll be drawing 2 bird cards, and then again you kind of trigger the actions down at the bottom there. But you can see as you play more cards into these spaces, once I get to here potentially, I'm getting 3 cards. So the actions become more powerful, but essentially you're kind of gaining food, eggs or cards, or potentially playing the actual birds into your tableau. Now you're trying to get points at the end of the game. Any eggs on cards are worth points. Obviously you've got the points on the birds themselves. There's some kind of goal scoring cards you start the game with. So in this case I was going for birds with a certain wingspan or less. You can see on each of the cards there's a wingspan for the birds, and depending on how many birds I get a certain number of points. And most points at the end wins, pretty much. What do we think?
I really liked it. I mean, I'm a bird watcher, and what I liked about it is it's got pictures of real birds rather than just made up ones. And when I saw that, I thought, oh dear, the gameplay on this is going to be poor because they've gone for the real pictures and the gameplay has just been added on. But actually, it's a good game as well. It's got plenty to it. It's different enough from other games. It's got this issue, the issue that it triggers all the cards before it is really nice. You've got other things that interact. So for instance I had a card that gave me an extra egg whenever anybody else took the lay eggs action. So there's quite a bit of interaction between you as well. I really liked it. I think it's a great game.
Okay, Sam?
I think it's a great little engine builder. It can play 5 in under an hour and a half, which I think is really nice for a medium weight game. I think one of the best things about it is that at the end of the game you can really feel like, even if you've lost, you've gathered all these birds, and every time you take an action it's so much better at the start of the game. You really feel the progress that you make throughout the game. I really like the interaction with the bird feeder as well, so you can re-roll them when there's only one face showing, and I just think that's a really neat way of gaining food in the game. But yeah, I think it's a great game.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, it's a Stonewire game, and as Stonewire always do, it's really pretty. All the pieces are really nice. Even the little eggs are just really nicely done. The illustrations on the birds, like Dean was saying, they're real birds, and the pictures are great. And they've got little facts about the birds at the bottom of the cards as well, so it's a little bit educational. And theme-wise, the birds seem to do things that make sense for the kind of bird that they are. So David went with a very carnivorous strategy. He was hunting, so he had owls that were feeding on other birds all the time. And yeah, it's really nice. And the game, the engine, could have had a different theme plonked onto it, but I think the theme really fits with the way the game works, and it is, you know, a really solid engine building game. I really liked it. Yeah.
Okay, David just got back. He was playing with us as well. What did you think?
Yeah, as with most games, I was fairly happy. I was a little worried about the theme, which I thought was a bit boring, maybe, but that didn't matter too much. I'm not too into birds, but the game was fine, played very smoothly. Yeah, it was it's fun. Lots of, different things to it. There's different ways of playing the birds. As I went for one strategy, others went for different stuff. You know, and the scores, they were close in some parts. Last and first were quite far apart, but in the middle was pretty close. So yeah, that was all right.
Rating?
Yeah, it was good.
Dean?
I'd give it 8.5.
Okay, Sam?
8.5 for me.
Yeah, I maybe have to play a couple more games to fine-tune the score, but 8.5, 9 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's very well done. As I said, component quality is very nice. The artwork is very good. I really like the bird feeder. That's great. In terms of how the game plays, again, as Matt says, it's very thematic. So there's you can tailor different strategies according to certain types of birds. So I had to get the ones with, as you saw, the sort of reduced wingspan. In fact, one thing I didn't mention, I'll show you quickly, is at the end of each round, you're getting points for certain objectives, if you like. So the number of eggs in a particular kind of nest, or eggs in certain locations, or eggs on a particular kind of, that's another kind of nest one. This is certain kinds of birds having eggs. So it gives you things to aim for, which is quite nice. You can sort of tailor your strategy in that direction and whatever is appropriate in each round. I did very badly in the game, but that's mainly because I didn't really pay attention to those round scoring things. It definitely benefits from replay. Having played it, I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I want to do next, which is nice. Personally, the theme doesn't grab me at all. The artwork, I don't really like it either. So it's good. I mean, I can see that it's good, but it's really not my kind of theme or art. But having said that, I do think it's a quality game. I'd be on a 7 out of 10. All right, thanks for watching. That was Wingspan.